Welcome to the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. I'm thrilled you're here. My name is Jason Elkins, and in addition to being your host, I'm also a former U.S. Army paratrooper, third-generation commercial hot air balloon pilot, paramotor pilot, ex-Montana fly fishing guide, advanced open water scuba diver, and a full-time nomad that's visited more than 30 countries on 6 continents. As a seasoned adventure travel expert with a passion for creating and sharing meaningful experiences, I'm on a quest to impact the lives of adventure travelers, the tour operators they rely on, and the communities that host them. Every week, I bring you exclusive interviews with fascinating adventure tourism experts who have agreed to share their personal stories, favorite destinations, and some invaluable travel insights they've picked up along the way. We'll enjoy a casual conversation, create some connections, and likely share some laughs. It's my hope that by the end of each episode, this big world will feel just a bit smaller. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. Super excited to have everyone back today, and especially excited to have my guest. We've got Helen here, Helen Lundgren with Catch and Relax in Sweden. Helen is the founder and CEO of Catch and Relax, and Helen, just such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me. It has been a pleasure learning to know you and hearing about the business that you're running, and also hearing what you are doing for the world and the big world becoming smaller, because that's what we are all aiming for. So thank you.
That is why we're here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate that. And for our listeners, you and I have had, kind of a couple exchanges and conversations, and it's been equally fascinating for me as well, which is why I asked you to come onto the show. And you're an interesting guest. One, because yes, you're a tour operator, and most of my guests are, and we're going to discuss that and what got you into that, but you've taken it a step further than some of my guests to kind of help other people shift and transition their lives into doing something they're passionate about. And that's a big thing for me as a former coach myself and working with people like that. So thank you so much for bringing kind of an interesting, different perspective. And
yes,
you just told me it's early January. Yes. And you're in Sweden. So how cold is it there right now?
Okay. Sweden is a long country, and up north it is about minus 42 Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. And here in Stockholm, it's minus 7.
I don't think Fahrenheit goes that low.
It is it's super cold. It's like the coldest it's ever been up north. And also in southern part of Sweden, 1,800 kilometers. That's how long Sweden is. So if we take Sweden like this, we end up with the north part of Sweden down in southern Italy. So that is how long Sweden is. Oh. So we have a very wide range of the nature, the kind of temperatures, and the kind of weathers.
Okay. So what I hear you saying, if you were...
Yes?
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, what I hear you saying is if you took Sweden, from the southern part of Sweden, the distance from the southern part of Sweden to the southern tip of Italy is about how long the country is. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. If you flip Sweden,
and I'm just sharing that for our listeners that aren't watching the hand and arm signals, just to kind of help make sure I understand it and help anybody that's not that doesn't have the advantage and pleasure of seeing your face and on the screen. So okay, so it's a big country, very diverse, and your business is located in the Stockholm Archipelago, correct?
Yes. So Stockholm Archipelago, that is a area outside of Stockholm, is east from Stockholm. It's a world of island. It starts right downtown Stockholm, and it is 50 kilometers deep and 150 kilometers from north to south. So if you drive that distance, it's 2 hours from north to south and about an hour from east to Stockholm, downtown Stockholm. But you cannot drive since it is water around
I was
the
going to
islands.
ask.
But
I was going
to understand the size of the area, and the area consists of about 25,000 islands. It's the largest archipelago in the whole world. We have archipelagos in different places in the world, but this is the one with the most islands, and we live on one of those islands. So we have to commute by boat, even in stormy weather like today. So I've actually went to the mainland by boat.
So we're definitely gonna jump into that more. And I also want to just touch on real quick for any of our listeners is, when we talk about what is your business, what are you doing out there? It's a fishing business. Just get that out right now, because anybody that's listening trying to figure out, well, what do you do on Stockholm Archipelago? That's a big part of it, but that's also a small part of it, because there's more to it. It's not just about the fish, right? I always think it's, with adventure tourism, it's not about the mountains, it's not about the fish. It's about the connections that we create and the meaning that we attach to things. So what I'd really like to do now is jump into learn a little bit about you, Helen. What's your story? And we can go back as far as you think is relevant. But how did you get from where you were, and you can define what that means, from where you were to where you are now, and just kind of give us an idea what happened.
Okay, so I am a downtown city girl from downtown Stockholm, born in the end of the 60s, meaning that I'm 55 plus. And we had a summer house, a vacation house outside on one island in Stockholm Archipelago. But we were not the family that went by boat or went fishing and things like that. We just liked the nature and being outside of the town in the weekends in the summertime. And I grew up there. And I always knew that either I will live in downtown Stockholm or out in the countryside if I stay in Sweden, because I have had some years abroad as well. So after high school, I went to Gothenburg and got my business administration degree in service management. And I was done in the beginning of the 90s. And then I moved outside, and I stayed outside of Sweden for 5 years, and actually working both as a travel guide, but within hospitality, mainly in Austria. But actually I ended my outside of Sweden stay as a hotel manager for an Austrian hotel in Poland. And this was, you can imagine, this was just after the wall went down. So this was a time when everything, the free world to Polish people and to that country, everything was new, and also with Eastern and Western Germany being connected. But having this experience, coming back to Sweden, I started to realize that I had great knowledge of the hospitality branch, of the travel industry, but I was kind of sick of the the hospitality, so I went into the IT sector. And that is also where I met my husband. And I was working with marketing, mainly marketing and sales, but also HR questions. I also were responsible for all customer events in this company where I started to work, because it was one of Scandinavia's largest computer peripheral distributors in Sweden. And we also worked very much with the States. So I was together with my not yet husband introducing the Palm Pilot in Sweden, and on one of those event trips. And I early understood the importance of being able to use the IT tools in order to be able to make what we can do today. So, and then I went to Philips, the little Dutch company, and I worked as a business area manager for computer peripherals for the whole Nordic region. And during that time, please.
And your husband, who's now your husband, who wasn't at that time, what kind of work was he specifically in the IT stuff as well?
he was with on that trip when we introduced you the Palm Pilots in Sweden as a representative for US robotics. So he was the supplier on this trip. We were the distributor, and I was responsible over this whole weekend where we introduced the Palm Pilots. Okay. And I said to him, well, we have this program for this whole weekend. Instead of giving all the purchase managers, because that's the people that we had with us on this trip, I said to him, why don't we try to get this paper into this device? Because that's what you do with this device. You can have a program in here. And my future husband came up to our office, and he helped me to put in the whole program into the Palm Pilot for this weekend. And so when all the participants came to the bus in Nice, because we were going to look at the Grand Prix in Monaco. It was in May. It was beautiful weather. The Palm Pilot was on their chairs with the program. So in order to be able to find out what was next on this trip, they had to use this device. And we didn't have to do any further introduction of this product in Sweden, because they understood what it was after this introduction. This weekend was how I met my husband, because he was the only one who helped me over this trip, and it was really, really fun. And after some years, long story short, we moved out to our island. We found our absolutely dream house. It's a big, it's a house that is today 120 years. It was built on an island with a sea, 270 degrees sea view, watching the citadel in Vaxholm, where the Russians were stopped 300 years ago. And at that time, the prices were really low. And so we flipped everything that we had, and people thought we were crazy moving out on an island where we have to commute by boat and so on. My husband even had to sign papers for his 2 children from his former marriage, in order for them not having a disadvantage at school living on an island, because they were written with him on his address. That is how it works in Sweden. We always have half time with our children when we get divorced. Before we met, he had the divorce with his former wife, well, we moved out. Everyone thought we were crazy, but this life slowly took over. And after we got my daughter Fredrika, who's going to Bali tomorrow, who is 22 years now, I was going to go back to my work at Philips as business area manager for the whole area. And they wanted me to also take over sales responsible. And I didn't want to travel so much with the little one. So I said, no, thank you, I quit. And it was from a really good position, also well paid and so on. And because I didn't want to do it, I didn't want to be in the rat race. I didn't feel fulfilled by selling computer peripherals, even though I understood what they can do and what kind of use. I introduced the video camera for Philips in the Nordic region also. And I understood that when you're selling products, commodities, you're not just selling them, but you're selling the use of the product. But I didn't find this so fulfilling. And when we also saw what we learned, this was like 4 years after we moved out to the archipelago, to our new house. And I saw what other people were doing. They had people coming to their homes, and they were running their own businesses in order to have the lifestyle that they wanted to have. So they created a life on their own terms. And that's when they created their companies. And I was starting to realize this. And I had the belief that if they can do it, I can do it. And also while I was staying in Vienna in Austria after my studies, I was working as an aerobic teacher. And I saw there was a need for a fitness bras, because that was not common at that time. So I actually founded my first company in Austria, and that was an import company of a sports bra that was really common in Sweden, and that I was using as a Swede. But when I came to Austria, I saw that there was nothing on the market like this, and women were not using a bra doing sports, and that hurt me physically. Yeah. So I had a company, and I knew it was possible. But of course, I didn't have any coaches. I didn't have any mentors. I just did everything on my own. So the first company that me and my husband created was Business Improvement Consultants, where we went into different companies, helping them with marketing and sales on a very not wanting to build a large business, but rather going into business on consultative basis, doing what they were not able to do or that they didn't have time for. And it came to that my husband had been working with sales training. So I learned a lot from him, and we created this program and this way of working. And I had a talent in booking meetings. So I started to do this on a regular basis, helping customers with how to reach new customers and how to book meetings with them. And this was on a very high level. It was CEOs, it was SFOs, it was marketing manager, it was HR directors. And I had like a 80% hit rate, and no one else had this. I don't know what it was. It was just that I got meetings. I was really just doing it, and I got meetings. And then after a while, as I said, we saw a lot of things in our surroundings, what people were doing. Also, my husband went out with other fishing guys. He started to work within the boat industry. And we got our hands on a boat from Brazil. And we bought it. And then we started to slowly getting questions from friends like, well, you have this boat and you have this house, and I have some customers from the States. Can we go out with you? And can we have a dinner at your place because it's so beautiful? And it was just one puzzle piece came, and then another one, and another one. And then we just, let's create a fishing guide company that also offers something under our roof where we can combine with the fishing, but something that is not existing. And especially in this boat that we had, because in Sweden we have, or in Stockholm Archipelago, we have fishing that is it's a narrow fishing. We don't go out at sea. We do sometimes, or some periods of the year, and you also have to have certain certificates in order to do so, and also special equipment to fish salmon and so on. And that is called trolling. Mm-hmm. And that is in the outer space of Stockholm Archipelago, but that is quite far from our area because we are more inshore. So we do inshore fishing in our area. And when you do inshore fishing in Sweden, you use smaller boats. It's more bay boats like you have in the States as well. So this is the kind of fishing that we are doing. So it's pike, perch, sea trout, also some sander, but sander has gone down very much in our area. So we started to offer fishing tours, but from a larger boat, because no other of the fishing guides were having a larger boat with also a toilet. And since we wanted to approach corporate clients and doing events for corporates, together with the meals at home that we wanted to, and dinners and so on, and we started a cooperation with a star chef that actually had won the Olympic medal to Sweden once upon a time. It's 10 years ago now or something like that. And so we took a niche that was not so common in fishing, in the fishing guide industry, because normally the fishing guides were only going out with private people that had an interest in going out and catching a lot of fish. It was like more macho, whatever you call it. But we wanted to create adventure for corporate clients, having them to build relationship with the tool of going out in the nature. So that's how we differentiated us, having a different boat and also turning towards corporate clients. Over time, this has changed a bit.
Helen, I'm curious. I'm curious real quick. With your background in the corporate world, both of you had quite an extensive background in the corporate world. And I'm curious, did you decide to go after that niche because you felt you already had the leads, you already knew the people, you already had the connections, you were comfortable in that world? I mean, what was it that really made you decide to go after the corporate audience? Other than I heard you say you just saw it was a niche, nobody else was doing it.
I felt really comfortable because I have been working as a travel guide. And first of all, I don't go out fishing with the clients. I can drive the boat and driving people from A to B because I have the certificates now. I didn't have that when we started. When we moved to the island, I didn't even know how to drive a boat. My husband knew that, but I've learned. So now I have all the certificates. I can even drive a high-speed boat, having customers on board. So when we started, since I have the background, back office, front office, been working as a travel agent and a travel guide, I have had responsibility over incoming in Austria, taking care of clients, creating incentive trips, and also been working in the corporate world, doing events for our clients. I said to my husband that if we're going to do this, we are not only going to be a fishing guide company, but we are going to approach the corporate world with our services. And I felt really comfortable doing that because I knew that corporate clients did not go out fishing yet. So that was an empty market. Now the fishing guides are doing what we are doing also, because now we were the pioneers within this. But this is also what I want to teach to people that are coming into this branch and coming into nature tourism or any tourism, how to create a business and how to be able to approach both worlds in order to have a better economy in your business.
Gotcha. So this is a great opportunity to discuss that. And I want to get into the why a little bit. Why did you decide that you wanted to help people kind of escape from the rat race, the 9 to 5, and kind of create their own, I guess, their own, passion business, I guess is what you had mentioned to me before, is the way you describe it. So why did you want to do that?
It is why I wanted to do this. First of all, when we started Catch and Relax, we wanted to offer our clients what we have in front of our feet every day. Nature, water, the possibility to go out on a boat, living in a nice place. And we also wanted to show the world Stockholm Archipelago, because Stockholm Archipelago is the best kept secret. That is what we hear all the time. We have over the years, we have taken care of a lot of journalists. We have been representing Sweden on the world's largest fair within nature tourism. We have now been invited again. So we are going to go on a fair in Germany for 10 days, representing Sweden again within this niche. So I know, because we have done that ourselves, to escape the corporate rat race, to escape the 9 to 5, and being able to live a life on our own terms. For me, I think that was always somehow my wish, because I remember telling my father when I was quite young, or in the young teens, that I said, I am going to become a successful entrepreneur. And I always wanted to have my own business, and I've always wanting to own my own time. But when I became a mother, I felt that I'm not going to be able to last, because being in the corporate job today, you are thrown into so many things. It was my feeling. Someone else maybe likes this and can cope with it. But I felt, if I'm going to stay in this rat race, I'm going to break. I'm not going to be able to have a sustainable life, because you are torn and you have so much responsibility towards an employer. And also you have the family tearing back, and the child is waiting for you at the daycare center. And for example, I had one morning, or often in the mornings, I didn't come into the office until 10 o'clock, because I wanted to commute when it was not any traffic. So I left Fredrika like short before 9, and then I went into this. Then it took me 40 minutes to get into the office. If I would have left her at 7:30, being able to be at the office at around 8:45, then it would have taken me 1.5 hours to get into. And I said, well, instead of sitting in the queues, why should I waste my time? Why should I tear myself? Why should I wake up my little child earlier than necessarily and having this stress? So I just felt like, no, I'm not doing that. And also what we realized, because I was kicked and I was not able to come back to my position when I said no to having the sales responsible. And then actually, between my two children, I took on a new job, because I thought, we cannot be two employers. And I was kicked after 1.5 years, working very many hours, and I was kicked because one part of that company that I was working for, and it was a large company that producing food, and I was product manager and export manager for pancakes. So, and I was kicked because they sold the division, and there was many people who didn't want to follow along to the buying company. And then I was the latest in, so I was kicked, because first in, first out. That's how it works in Sweden. And because the community, the labor powers is very strong, and this is how the laws are here. And I said to my husband that, well, being employed today is not more secure than running your own business. So let's try this. And that's when we started Catch and Relax. So business improvement consultant was started 2002. That's when I didn't want to go back to Philips. And then after being kicked in 2005, we started Catch and Relax in 2005 to 2006. So the first tours we had, it was like in between I was going to give birth to my second child. And it was like, no, she's not allowed to come today because we have a booking, and that day she can come. And she came on 1st of July, and we didn't have a booking on that day. So it was really like, let's try this, let's get it to work. And also with the knowledge I had from the hospitality branch, and also with the knowledge of distribution, marketing and sales, and also combined with experiences with the States and outside of Sweden, we knew we had a very good infrastructure to be able to do this work. Because when you have a tourist, when you have travel or this kind of business, you cannot only rely on selling through one channel. You have to have different kinds of clients, different kinds of avatars. You have to distribute your tours in different ways in order to find the clients. And I just saw a report today, actually in the morning, that they're expecting tourism worldwide to go up by nearly 2% this year, because still, even though the economy is going down, people want to travel after COVID still.
No, absolutely. And I love your story. It's one that I think a lot of people can relate to, both men and women. We hear it a lot with women having the conversation about I want to raise my kids. I want to spend time with my family. I want to do this. I want to try and do everything. I think there's a lot of guys that feel that way as well. They maybe just keep their mouth shut and just trudge on and are miserable. Where I think women sometimes are a little smarter and say, hey, this isn't working very well for me, so I'm going to look for ways. And I'm curious with either both men and women, but maybe specifically with the women that you have had conversations with. I'm interested in what is typically the biggest obstacle that you feel that gets in the way of them making a change and taking action, I guess, is one part of the question. And as I ask that question, I imagine somebody saying, well, sure, Helen, yeah, you made a bunch of money in the business world and then went out and bought a nice house and bought a nice boat. I'm just saying what they might hear, right? You have a nice boat, a nice house. You've got all these resources there. So it's probably easy for you to say, oh, we should open a tourism business because you're in a great place. So what do you say to the person that says that? So I guess it's two questions. What do you say to the person that brings that up? And what is the biggest thing that gets in the way of people taking action?
I think it's everything. And this is also maybe thanks to that, I have been doing a lot of training with around mindset and personal development the last 5 years. I've done quite a bit in the States with Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi as well. And I think, and I know also research has shown this, that 80% is mindset and it's 20% is what you do. And if you're looking on, now I don't find the word, not a growth mindset, but the difference between growth mindset and a narrow mindset, a poor mindset, then you can start to see the differences, because you can always look on, there is not enough time, there is not enough money, I don't have the knowledge. But then you can, with all these questions, that is the minor mindset. You can always, because the coin always have two sides, even three sides. Yes, because the coin can also land on the third side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can always choose, because you always have a choice in any situation in life. You have a choice. Either you go left or you go right. Mm-hmm. And if you can actually decide. Yeah. Or you go nowhere. But if you have a choice to be made in any situation in life, and you can force yourself to choose the growth mindset. We we had the fortune to find this place that we are living at. And we sold everything what we had on mainland. And today, we will not be able to buy it because the prices has gone up so much. But Stockholm Archipelago is very close to a capital. That's also why prices has gone up, and this is the same in New York, in Los Angeles, in Rome, wherever, in Singapore, wherever you go. If you're close to a main city, the prices have gone up, and you're actually following. If you are in the market, you are following the market. But what I see is that there are so many people having an hobby, an interest. It can be sewing, and they have a lifestyle, or they have a knowledge. And if you start to look at what you actually have inside of you, you can create something from what you have inside of you and what you have. You can live far out in the countryside and you can create a nature tourism business. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's what you are able with your mind to create around what you have. And there are so much inspiration. And also now with AI, I mean, AI can be looked at not good or bad. If you look at it to be bad, you get scared. It's the scarcity mindset. But if you look at AI as the possibility to actually have a kind of an assistant, someone that you can ask, what kind of business can I create around these abilities, where I live, blah, 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 blah. Because this is like a virtual intelligence that is actually able to help us. And it has happened so much the last year. It's crazy.
And what I really like about it is not so much that it's going to tell me what to do, but holy cow, as far as a idea tool, an idea generator, because there's been so many times I'll just jump in and I'll kind of have this thought and I'll put it into like ChatGPT. Let's say, for example, I'm looking for a title for a podcast or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I go in there. It's like, give me 10 ideas for a podcast that's, targeted to listeners that want to go adventure travel, whatever it is. And it'll give you 10 ideas. And inevitably what happens is I look at those and that spawns an idea, another idea. And it's like, I don't necessarily end up using exactly what I get from ChatGPT, but it gives me ideas. It just gets the juice tool for that. Even if you never use anything cut and paste, you never take direct advice from it. It's just such a great idea generator. It's like having somebody sitting in the room with you that you just ask a question and they just start rambling with things that are relevant, and you listen to the rambling and you're like, ooh, I like that. I know this isn't what you were saying, but I just got this idea based on listening to you. So it's very cool. I'm happy you brought that up. Yeah. And you're right. It's a tool to help people make the shift.
And I also think that if you understand this, I think it's really, really important for people to not be so scared. Scarcity mindset and abundance mindset, a growth mindset. Because if you say, I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to take advantage of it, you will be behind. That is absolute. I'm absolutely 100% sure, because I see it myself. I use it as the white paper. When I'm sitting and I'm, for example, going to write a post on my for Facebook or something like this, or I'm going to create something, maybe a work class or doing a live, and I'm just like, okay, I know I want to talk about this. I can ask for ideas, and why not because we are having these tools in order to be able to use it.
Well, it's interesting because if you go back, well, you probably know better than I do because of all your experience in the tech industry. But I can also go back and remember, when cell phones first really started becoming popular, and then of course smartphones, and people are just like, no, this is dangerous. I would never use that. I remember, trying to teach my grandparents how to use email and computers and just some of the attitudes around that. And I get that. Nobody has to do anything they don't want to do. You mentioned before,
yeah,
we have choices in everything. And those people that thought, oh, this computer thing's just a trend. It's just a fad.
Internet is a trend.
The internet's, what's all this? I'm not going to bother learning that. I don't believe in that. Do you know what? Go back to when Henry Ford first started making cars, and there were people that made a living making horseshoes and shoeing horses that said, oh, this is, these cars are evil. They're going to destroy the world and whatever. Or the candle makers when Edison was inventing the light bulb, so it's kind of, yeah. Whether we like it or not.
Yeah. And I'm saying thank you for everyone that has been before me, because it's actually the people, the generations before me that has been giving me this possibility to do what I'm doing today. And it was, I heard the story.
None of us can do it on our own.
No, absolutely. And it's an evolution. Hey, no, my daughter is going away. I had to say bye to her.
She's literally leaving right this minute to go to Bali?
No. She's just going to see a friend tonight, and I'm going to do some work, and then she's coming back, and tomorrow she's leaving for Bali.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that is. And okay, you know what? Let's chat about that for a minute, because this is an important part of the conversation. And I don't know the whole story. You and I didn't really discuss very much her going to Bali, but I've learned enough about you when we talk about, I don't want to live that life. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to inspire people to follow their dreams and their passions. And I'm hearing you talk about your daughter going to Bali by herself for the first time, and she's 20, how old is she? 22?
22, yes.
Yeah.
And her mother is scared to death. No, not really.
I can hear it. I can hear it in your voice, and I can see it on your face. And I bet at the same time you're incredibly effing proud, aren't you?
Yes, I'm so proud. Because this is the thing that, as you have come to understood, I have a coaching program where I want to help people to take the jump, to take the leap, to see that there is a future them waiting for them. And I call my program Life on Your Terms. And I have seen what I have experienced through all these years that we have been our own bosses, is that we have had the possibility to be there for our kids. And actually, I was brought up with a mother that was also working from home. And she was always there when I came home, and it was nice. And I think somewhere I wanted to have this situation for our kids as well, that I wanted to be there, but I wanted to have, I didn't want to be a housewife. I wanted to have a work. So having your own business was like the only option. And what I've seen is with my two daughters, Fredrika, who's 22, and Michaela, who's 17, is that the relationship is different between us than I can see in other kids. And also being in all these groups and meeting all these people that I'm meeting, I see parents wanting to support kids, parents who want to be there for their kids when they are coming home from school, also parents who are having organizations prohibiting that kids are taking suicide, that our kids are going into drugs. So my extended why for having this program is to actually getting more balanced kids in the world. Because when you can build a balance in your parent life, you will have a better balance in your family life. And then the kids will also be more balanced. So this is like an outcome of my program. And that's also one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping parents to take the leap and create their own businesses, because then we will have a more balanced world. It maybe sounds a little bit weird, a little bit strange, but
no, it sounds
I cannot
super
change
cool.
the whole world, but I can at least do something.
Wow, we did a great job getting to your why. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful.
So for her going away is a little bit like, I'm really proud about her going. I'm of course scared, but when I'm thinking about myself in her age, I was also doing the same, not maybe to Asia, but Asia is as close as Italy. Somehow the world has shrunk. But she has a sense of being balanced, and she has also been in some of the trainings that I've been doing. So I have been able to contribute to her life with the knowledge that I have required from all the trainings that I am doing. And that's, I think, is how we can get more balanced kids out there.
Very cool. You know what? It's interesting because you and I had a call scheduled a few weeks ago. We were going to record this a month or so earlier, and some things came up and we weren't able to connect at that time. And as I listened to you and as I realized, wow, it's pretty cool that we're having this conversation on the eve of your daughter going to Bali, because it really kind of drives home the point. I sense the pride in you. I've got children as well, and I know what me following I've done a lot of the same programs you've done as well, and you and I kind of maybe you're cut from the same bolt of fabric. And when I look at what that's done for my children, and other people around me that have done that work and really follow their dreams, it's pretty cool. So I'm happy that we were able to reconnect now instead of maybe a month ago. So that's because very cool.
Kids, they do what you do. They don't do what you tell them to, but they see what you do and then they follow you.
Yeah. I worked in adventure tourism for a long time because I was brought up. I spent my summers traveling with my dad, going to balloon festivals and learning how to fly hot air balloons. And so I did that for quite a while. Then I got into a spot where I kind of was discouraged by some things, whatever. I let myself get off course a little bit, and I worked in real estate for a few years. And when I kind of got out of that and started following my dreams again, all of a sudden my son started following as well. And I spent the last 2 summers, he's 17, and the last 2 summers he traveled with me. And the first summer we did Central America, Guatemala, Mexico, Belize. And this past summer we had, Southeast Asia. And yeah, it's interesting how the more I follow my dreams and my passions, the more, my children, other people around me are inspired to do the same. And, my relationship with him now is so much better. And I'm still traveling, and I'm not maybe with him as many days of the month, if you just count the number of days. But I'll tell you what, when we are together and when we have we do video calls just about every day. And it's, it does make a big difference. So, okay. So Helen, we've discussed a few things, definitely got to know you a bit and kind of your why. Connected with that. We talked a little bit about Catch and Relax, kind of how you started that. We covered a few things, and I'm curious, what did I forget to ask, or what should I have asked that you think our listeners should know, either about you, your coaching program, Catch and Relax, Sweden, anything? What do you think?
Oh, you asked so many things, and sometimes sometimes I find it difficult to come up with the questions myself. So I don't really know. But of course, if someone would be interested to book a call with me, I have on my profile in Facebook, you find me with a cap at sea, of course, and it's Helen Lundgren. Wikner is my maiden name, and Lundgren is my married name. And my program is Life on Your Terms. Sometimes it's registered, so that sometimes it's Life on Your Term. But my website is lifeonyourterm.se. And you can find me there. Otherwise, people can find me through you. And of course, Catch and Relax. It's just to look it up and combine with Sweden, and then you find us. So
and we'll have the link right. We'll have the link right to your website in the show notes. So I'm going to encourage anybody listening to this interested in learning more about Helen, Catch and Relax. That'd be a great place to start. And obviously, once they get through to your website, they can probably figure out how to find everything. If, you know, with the internet.
But I think there is one thing, and that is, you know, nature tourism, and this is also what you are talking a lot about in your podcast. Nature tourism is about showing people who are traveling and want more experiences out of their travels, and where also people relationships are being deepened and also can grow, is a fantastic way of showing our world through locals. And I think this is something that we have not touched. Because what we experience is in Catch and Relax, when people go fishing with us or come home to our home, they don't really, sometimes, you know, they don't really understand, well, is this your home? Wow, so you have opened up your home to me, because maybe they have booked through agents. But this is a way of creating relationship between people, and also for cultures to understand each other, where we show how we are living. I mean, maybe I don't have a typical home. I'm living in a large house at the seaside and so on. But I'm Swedish. I'm bringing people home to my home. I'm telling them stories about our lives. And through travel, we can create experiences for people through our lives. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're living in a very exclusive place. It can be that you are maybe having some kind of, you're good at cooking, but you stay in a small flat somewhere. I talked with a guy in Morocco the other day, and his sister has grape planting, and we were talking about if he could maybe create an adventure around his sister's place. And he said, I never thought about this. Because this is what we want to experience when we travel. We don't want to see these streets that are full out with tourists. We want to go out. When I'm traveling, I want to meet the locals. I want to go on experiences, maybe just on a walk. And you can charge for a walk. And it doesn't, you walk on streets that are not yours. You just know the city, and you can create a story about this. Look at Airbnb, what they did. Of course, they are competing. Now they are so large that they are competing with hotels and things. But in some extent, they created a way of travelers coming to places, coming to homes, and see how it looks behind the curtains. And that is what we want the people that are coming to us to experience. We want the people to experience what we have in front of our feet every day. And I think this is something that, or we can see that in traveling trends after special COVID, that people want to travel in smaller groups and they want to meet the locals because that is why we are traveling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that is maybe one thing. And so I think I know that there are many, many people out there who are ready to, as the fish in the bowl, take the jump to find their future themselves.
I love it. You just summarized my whole show, I think. The whole big world made small. The whole concept, you got every point there. This is about connecting with people. That's why we don't spend a lot of time talking about what time do you need to arrive? What do you need a SIM card ahead of? We're not talking about that stuff. It's connecting with people like yourself, Helen.
Yep.
And I love that we're able to do this virtually. I would love to just go visit all of these places and chat with you in person at your place. And technology allows us the ability to create connections anyway this way. So that's exactly what we're trying. Big world made small, right? You had mentioned that the world has gotten smaller because now your daughter can, go to Bali, where for you, you were going to Poland. Maybe the world has changed. I actually came up with the name Big World Made Small when I was in Asia for the first time, because I had this revelation that I always thought Asia was so far away. And once you get there and you start meeting the people, you realize it's not. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right, Helen, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with us and kind of letting everybody kind of get a glimpse into who you are and kind of what your passions are. And I want to, real quick, though, your coaching business is not just for people that want to get into tourism, correct?
No, it's for anybody who has a hobby, an interest, a lifestyle, a passion, or a knowledge that they want to create.
It's pretty much everybody.
A business around. It's of course, I know online coaching. I could teach that, but my coaching business is more for someone who wants to have a normal business, a brick and mortar business. But of course, if someone wants also to learn how to do a coaching business or do a virtual business, I could coach them. But that is a byproduct. So my main focus is, and of course, my primary knowledge is within hospitality.
I think the key word that you used earlier before I hit the record button was a passion business. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's almost the way to that is the way to describe it. You help people change their lives through a passion business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're passionate in law and you want to create a law firm, but you feel like, I don't know how to market. How do I sell? How do I create a company? I just know my law book. So then I can help you.
I get.
And that can be a passion business.
Yeah, no, I get it. As opposed to maybe somebody says, I don't care what I do, I just want to make a bunch of money. Maybe that's not the right fit. No. Right?
Because of course,
I like it a lot.
The thing is, the money, when we're talking about money, because you have to have a money mindset. If I earn a lot of money, I can contribute more to the possibility that money gives me is to maybe pay more money to the child cancer fund here in Sweden, because we always pay, and we also support activities in schools preventing drugs, trafficking, and those things. We have always done that within Catch and Relax. We pay towards the children. We have always done that. That is what money gives me, the ability to be able to create this for others, but also for me to put back money into being able to support more people, and also creating a life for my family. I want to build this coaching business because my husband is 62 years now. I don't want him out on the cold waters in November. He has done that for many years now. I don't want him to have to go out when it is cold. He can go out fishing. We can have adventure throughout the nicer seasons. But when you are forced to go out in order to be able to put table on the food. So this is what I want to create. I want to be able to help people to create their own businesses and having a thriving life. I didn't have any mentors. I want to be that holding hand. How to pivot and get a thriving business. And who knows, someone can help someone else and you can always pay forward.
Very cool. And I believe you just did, because I believe somebody is going to listen to this. And, you know, I trust and would invite them obviously to reach out to you. But even if they're just listening to this and get inspired a little bit, take some steps, some action, make something happen, then you and I have done our job today. So thank you so much, Helen.
Thank you so much. And it has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting and collaborating with you on more projects in the future. All right. Thanks, Helen.
Absolutely.
I trust you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you're enjoying the Big World Made Small podcast, please take a moment to tell the algorithm by subscribing and posting a review so that others can benefit as well. I also invite you to take a quick trip over to bigworldmadesmall.com and join our private adventure travel community to receive new episode notifications, special access to our guest experts, and perhaps even some exclusive partner offers that we haven't discussed on the podcast. I'll publish another episode soon. Until then, keep exploring. It's the best way to make a big world feel just a bit smaller.